NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. The White House says the war in Ukraine could end as soon as this week. Speaking to reporters Saturday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, quote, the president is very confident we can get it done this week, and added that Trump's team is focused on negotiations. Her comments come just ahead of this week's meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House. President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East believes the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas will reach its planned second phase. Steve Witkoff told CNN State of the Union an extension of Phase 1 is needed, but he's confident the hostage deal can reach the next phase.
We have to get an extension of Phase 1, and so I'll be going into the region this week to negotiate that.
This comes after Israel refused to release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners Saturday in exchange for hostages already released by Hamas. Israeli officials said the prisoners won't be released until Hamas guaranteed they would no longer stage disgraceful ceremonies dishonoring the hostages. Pope Francis remains in critical condition after a peaceful night as he's being treated for double pneumonia at a hospital in Rome. Crowds have been gathering to show their support both in St. Peter's Square and outside the hospital.
I came here for the Pope, and it's a symbolic time, and I think that all the prayers and the support that he can get.
A Sunday morning update from the Vatican said the 88-year-old Pope was alert and had rested after receiving blood transfusions following a respiratory crisis. Francis was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on February 14th. On Saturday, his condition was upgraded to critical and he was given supplemental oxygen. Will Ferrell and Snoop Dogg are among the celebrity coaches for a wildfire benefit hockey game to be held this afternoon at Crypto.com Arena to help in the recovery from last month's wildfires. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
Now, here's a new concept, digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising, DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Yucaipa. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising, 909-222-9293.
This segment sponsored by our radio listening post in Yucaipa, Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, where you can get healthy in the heart of Yucaipa. You'll find locally sourced fresh fruit, vegetables, farm eggs, honey, fresh bread, nuts, and for your sweet tooth, delicious ice cream and locally produced candy from licorice to chocolates, all to your heart's content. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce, just down the street from Toscano's Pizza between 13th and 14th on Yucaipa Boulevard. Open every day, weekdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on weekends to 5 p.m. For more info, you can call 909-790-6106. That's 909-790-6106. Shop local with Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce. Tell them you heard it on this radio station and saw it on the DNA advertising screen inside the store. It's Yucaipa Farm Fresh Produce.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
There's been so many things that held us down, but now it seems like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long way to go. Where we'll end up, I don't know, but we won't let nothing hold us back. Gonna put ourselves together, gonna polish up our head. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Don't you let nothing stand in your way. I want you to listen to every word I say, every word I say.
All right, can you guys hear me out there? This is Empire Talks Back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen here on the mission. How we doing in there, dear? We all right? All right, rock and roll. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for truth and justice, with the right information to help improve the situation. We have an exciting day today. We have our young attitudes, young views, and all of that. But we're going to set the mood with Attorney Areva Martin, our civil rights goddess. Lady helps to keep us aware of how things are up the road. She's kind of like a traffic cop, an information deliverer. Let you know when the alligators are out. Let you know you got to keep your shoes on because there's a lot of mess in the road that you can get caught up and involved with. And we also have the Knights of the Botillion, the socialites of San Bernardino, annually put on a program called the Knights of the Botillion, where they have a 6-month program ritualizing and taking our young men into the community to show their responsibility and their commitment to getting along and making the world a better place. Attorney Martin, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. You can back that music down a little bit for me, Darren, if you will. Attorney Martin, we have a very interesting situation since the beginning of the year, since our election, since our, well, I was going to say sledgehammer, but they're out here bragging about chainsaws, cutting our budget, cutting our route to democracy, cutting, we're even hearing the president talk about a third term. I don't know how all of that's going to fit in, but I'd like to let you know that we have a group of young men here, 3, who are challenging for the Night of the Year. That's going to be determined by their community service, and the money that they're able to raise toward their scholarships that this organization annually provides. We have a unique opportunity to talk with young people. Let me ask this question of the young men. How old are you, sir?
I'm 18.
18. 17. 17. And I don't know when the last time we've had young men like this in a position to tell us how they really feel, but I'm going to take advantage of it, and you know I will. Before we do that, though, I'd like to get a little short-term lecture from a civil rights advocate, observer, participant, activist, one of the great lawyers on the planet at this time who cares about equity, even when it's, well, especially when it's being attacked. Tell us what you are most concerned about as you see these announcements and attitudes and new movements in our country right now, and how they affect our civil rights. I think education is one of the issues. I know that our economy and our participation in the economy is very critical, and sometimes that is a good thing for us, and sometimes it's a bad thing. It's a good thing when we are constantly moving toward taking care of ourselves. I'm encouraging people to grow gardens and to form little economic groups and purchase groups. It gets to be a problem when we sit and expect that those who have been attempting to hold us down for over 400 years are all of a sudden going to change their mind and pull the top off the lid and say, hey, let's get you to fly. So with that, and introducing you as, once again, the goddess of civil rights, welcome to the show, Ms. Ariva, and it's on you.
Well, thank you so much, Wallace, for having me. Thank you for the work that you do for raising these issues. You started this segment by saying the alligators are out, and I couldn't agree with you more. They are out, and we all need to be aware. What I'm thinking about most in this moment is the number of people that are not aware, the number of people that have their heads buried in the sand, who are going along with their lives as if business is usual, as if there's nothing here to see. And particularly young people. I really want young people like the ones you are talking to this morning and others to really appreciate the irreparable, meaning can't be undone, harm that is being done to our democracy, to our society. And it is up to those young people, it's up to all of us, no matter what age you are, to use your voice, use your platform to resist, to stand up, to fight back. Because we've never seen a authoritarian dictator like we see in the likes of Donald Trump and his sidekick, Elon Musk. It's a barrage of attacks on every system of government that's happening so quickly. A lot of people feel off kilter. A lot of people feel unbalanced. They feel overwhelmed. But now is not the time to cower. Now is not the time to capitulate. Now is the time to let this chaos fuel your imagination. That has been my mantra. Let the chaos fuel your imagination. Think about what you can do, where you are, using the platform that you have. I saw something this morning that said resistance movement by 3.5% of any population can be effective. That, for a country of our size, that would mean only 11 million people. If 11 million people took to the streets to protest, we could have a tremendous impact. We can turn around what we see happening in Washington. So I just want everyone to open their eyes, open their ears, read, be a discerning reader, and make sure you are tuned in to the attack. You talk about these young people getting college scholarships, $19 million in college scholarships that were given to HBCU students so that they could learn agriculture, so they could go into the business of farming, has been freezed and possibly cut forever from this administration for no reason other than this scholarship program has been labeled as DEI. And we know DEI is synonymous for this administration for black and for what's wrong in this country. So rather than celebrating our diversity and the tremendous contributions African Americans, Latinos, and others have made to this country, we are now under attack, under siege, and everyone needs to be aware of that.
This attack takes many forms. As a matter of fact, I see us being inundated daily with so many distractive things that we tend to keep our eye off the prize because the prize seems to be shifting. But I'd like to see if we could lock ourselves down on a couple of things that definitely represent our prize. One of them is education. And certainly we have to have food and nourishment in order to make that happen. I'm encouraging people to grow gardens. I have a program that we will have specifically to discuss that and to manipulate our way into doing that without turning everyone into a farmer, but by facilitating those who do want to be farmers and our market to make it happen. The other is our money. Our economy, what we do with our money says so much about who we think our friends are. I've been inundated, and I don't know if you have, Attorney Martin, but I've been inundated with emails and suggestions and proposals and demands from people and friends all across the country to say this coming Friday, February 28th, that we, all folks of conscience, black folks especially, and everyone else who's concerned about equity, don't spend any money. The idea of boycotting the system and Target stores in particular. I've heard Walmart and a couple of other stores brought up, but Target seems to be the number one target, if you will. Selective spending seems to be an idea. Boycotting seems to be another idea. Could we get your opinion on that? And then I want to introduce these young men and see how they feel about what their money is and just responding to the concerns you've brought to the table.
I think boycotting or using any form of resistance, and all forms of resistance are necessary in this moment. There's no one right way to voice our concerns or to voice our resistance. There's been a call for boycotts for certain stores like Target. There's a call for a national boycott on February 28th of all major retailers, restaurants, and other, establishments, large business establishments, as a way to just demonstrate that people have power. That is what's so important in this moment, is that we demonstrate that this is a government by the people and for the people, not for the few billionaires and the rich men that Donald Trump has surrounded himself with. So I would encourage people, yes, participate in boycotts that are called, whether it's the Target boycott, whether it's Walmart, Amazon, whether it's February 28th, nationwide boycott. So encourage people to write, to quote, I don't think the Democratic is vocal enough. I think there's certain credit, but others have not been nearly vocal in their resistance, and they will do that when they hear from their constituents, when they know that we're working for them to our voices in Washington, and if they're enough that we will be replacing them. So we hear a lot of talk about people from politics. The moment in which we double down on our politics and national levels. So we can't afford to sit this one out. While 37% of eligible voters did not vote in this last presidential election, that's a whole lot of people that let other people make decisions for them about who should be the president of this country. So if you're one of that 37%, you need to step it up. And if you're one of the people that voted for Donald Trump, you need to hold him accountable. He told us on day one he was going to reduce the prices of eggs and groceries. That has not happened. He told us he was going to fix this economy. He's wrecking the economy by creating massive unemployment numbers while we have high inflation that leads to stagflation. So everybody has a role to play, even those that believe in Trump. Make him do what he promised he would do. Bait and switch you as his vote.
Well, now that's an interesting statement, and I agree with you. However, what we've got to look at is that paradox that you just mentioned, one of participation and one of resisting participation. As I speak to these young men, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, tell us where you go to school, tell us if you've ever had the opportunity to not go to a party or not participate in something because it just was against your grain. And tell us also what type of things you did want to participate in because you were encouraged or you wanted that thing to be something that other people were involved in and proud of. And does that make sense? It does? Okay, you're a smart man. Just agree with me. That's how Trump picks his guys, so I'm going to pick you to speak first.
Okay, my name is Joseph Allen Gorey Jr.
Say it slower.
My name is Joseph Allen Gorey Jr. I go to Wilmer-Amina Carter High School. I have had many situations where I would like to go party, I would like to go out with friends, but in situations like that, it's not always safe. Due to certain people having certain ways, you cannot always just go out with people. You can't always.
So you can boil that down to you got to be careful who you hang out with. All right. Okay, Joseph. Very good. Pull that mic up a little closer to you and tell us your name and where you go to school.
I'm Brandon McIntosh Jr.
Say it again and take it slow and be prideful.
I'm Brandon McIntosh Jr.
In case somebody out there wants to write a check with your name on it, you want them to be able to hear that name correctly.
Okay.
Say it again.
I'm Brandon McIntosh Jr.
Oh, that was good.
I go to San Jacinto High School. I'm also a four-sport athlete, so in my mind, I don't want to go to parties and go out and have fun like the kids in this generation say it's fun to go drink and smoke and stuff like that. That's not me. I'd rather go work on my craft so I can get to college in a better environment, be safe, and live my life on better like funding and stuff like that and help out my community.
Very good. So you're committed to self-development.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we're going to talk to you about what that does for the rest of the community as we let him introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Jaden Overstreet, and I attend Grand Terrace High School.
Grand Terrace High School?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you had this opportunity to deny your presence at certain places because you thought maybe that folks would get the wrong impression?
Yeah, honestly, but I'd say I've had once where I was invited to a party, but it was with a few friends that I really, I'd say were my acquaintances, not really friends. So it was one of those things where either go to this party and with people who I don't trust, with a location I don't know where I'm going, or just stay at home and then just, play video games. So I decided to stay home.
Okay, so, the idea that home is a safer place, or deciding not to go somewhere that you feel and isn't a good, safe place or a productive place, that's good. That's self-preservation. What about when you see someone else who is about to put themselves in danger? It's something I want you to think about. First, the next thing I want you to think about is your money. How do you guys get money? Who's got a job? How do you get your money, sir? And let's all three of you answer that question.
My way of making money is either doing chores or I find small jobs to do in the community.
Some odd jobs in the community?
Small jobs in the community.
The way I get my money is also by doing chores, by also helping out my community in different ways that I can. I help out some neighbors and stuff like that with cutting their grass, stuff like that, especially the older generation where they might not be able to do those type of things. I'm able to do it for them.
Okay.
How I make my money is I sell clothes, and I also, I used to, I would spray anytime the neighbor's address was faded on their sidewalk, I'd spray it with spray paint and fix their address.
So you sold clothes?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get them from?
Family, just old clothes. Or sometimes, since I'm the techie one in my family, I'd sell maybe my pops will want to sell, say like a computer, I find the best place to sell it.
So you find things that people no longer want. Are you able to get them to pay you to take it off your hands and then sell it as well, make that money?
Yes, sir. I always make
Oh,
sure.
I like you. Very good. Very good. You
Always
know,
make
it's
sure.
important to value how you're going to get your income, because once you have that value, it turns into being a value as to who you give your money to. I didn't hear any of you say that you were able to get a job at the local store or at the local cleaners or at the grocery market or any of the places that, if we talk to your parents, where they get to spend the big money. Am I wrong, or have you had an opportunity for a local business to mentor you, give you access to working or whatever? None of you?
I would say I haven't had the opportunity. I've applied to multiple jobs. It seems like none of them really are hiring or looking for a part-time. Like I said, I'm an athlete, so right now I'm playing 2 different sports, volleyball and I'm doing track. So time is very hard to come around to get those jobs and be there more hours than most. So they're not really looking for a young man like me, where they're getting partial work, partial hours. They're looking for more full-time.
Okay, yes.
I'd say I have had a chance to work in my church volunteering, where I was able to help clean up whenever it was like I had to help clean up trash from the lawn. Also, I was able to, they let me be a janitor at the Life Center over by, where is it at? In San Bernardino.
The
Family Life
Family
Center.
Life Center on Highland
I was able
Avenue,
to be
1505 Highland Avenue.
Yes, sir. I was able to be a janitor over there, and that was one way I could make money during the summer.
Very good. Okay, so what we're looking at is young men who've got good ideas. All of you want to go to college, or what do you want to do with your future? Tell me about that.
When it comes to my future, I want to attend Georgia State University as my first pick.
Why is that?
It's more of me wanting to start a family tradition. My mom went to Georgia State. She's very successful right now.
Family tradition.
Yep.
All right, that's good. That's good. And
My goal in life is to go to college. I want to become a professional football player. If that plan doesn't work out, I want to become a mental therapist, because I think it's very important that your mental health is being taken care of by the right people, and not just people who just do it for the money and they tell you all these other things that aren't really going to help you out in your future.
so professional football or mental health.
Yeah.
So school-wise, you are keeping your body in shape. You want to keep your mind in shape. What kind of classes are you taking, or makes you feel that you'll be able to move in that direction?
As of right now, I am taking weightlifting for my football program. I also, my school doesn't personally help out that much with to go to mental therapy, so I'm more or less waiting to go to college for that type of stuff. But I am keeping myself on track with my health, my fitness, stuff like that, going on with school.
I hear some of my friends out there screaming, though I don't have an earphone in, and they're screaming and saying this young man should be contacting some of the counselors, some of the mental health counselors and professional people that we have now available to you, and talk to them about what you want to do and beg them to give you some exposure to that field. You may find that much more exciting than football. And besides, we all want to be friends with great football players who are making millions and millions of dollars and doing great things. I suppose Jaden Daniels is a hero for you?
He's a hero, but at the same time, I can't really like him too much. One, personally, I'm a Rams fan. Two, my school, we just
What
played
kind of
against
checks
this
have the Rams dropped off to you? I've been a fan for a long time, and I've been waiting to get my check.
They didn't drop off a check, but they've had great players.
Okay, I just thought maybe there was another level of fanship that I was missing out on, but that's good. Okay, good. I am a California person myself.
Okay.
And I root, if the California team is playing, I'm rooting for them, and the closer to home they are, the louder I root. But okay. All right, but Jaden, I think, would probably be someone for you to want to talk to if you get an opportunity, and he needs to know that that was a competitive statement more than one of respect or disrespect, because he's the reason people are going to be looking at football players from the Inland Empire right now. He and the brother from Rancho Cucamonga. You've got some people out there that are doing quite well, and you want to let them know that let the world know you're ready for that. But you also want to let them know that if you have a problem with your ankle or your knee or your shoulder, you're going to be able to use your head to continue making success out of your life. Yes, sir.
I'd say what I want to do in the future is I want to go to Prairie View A&M University, and I want to hopefully get my master's so I could be in my immediate family, be the first to get a master's. I want to get a master's for graphic design and business.
Okay, so you're interested in graphic design. You've got an entrepreneurial attitude. Okay, so we can see some success there. I sense leadership here. As we talk about, and we've heard Attorney Martin talk about the threat, the civil rights threat, the basic threat against democracy, the threat that says if you don't participate in voting, you end up letting those who do participate tell you or be the ones who actually make the decision as to what happens for you. Have you guys, do you vote at school? Have you had any opportunity to vote in school?
At my school, we vote for prom queen. We've had a lot of situations where we get to
student body,
yes,
stuff
student
like that.
body, stuff like that.
Did you participate in that vote?
Of course. I always like to support the people who I know will make the right decisions for our student body.
Okay, so has anybody been able to promise you something at that student body level and actually make it happen, or?
I would say in my day and age, people.
Have they encouraged you to want to keep voting, or are you get a little disappointed?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so yeah, we want to be sure that they don't trap you like that. And yes, sir.
Well, at my school, they're kind of just starting to teach us about political stuff. I am taking currently a econ class where it's talking about current events like with Donald Trump and stuff like that. So we're slowly learning, which it's a little late because I'm a senior, and this should be taught a little earlier in high school than it is now. But we do vote. We vote for, like Joseph said, homecoming queen, king, stuff like that. So we kind of get the environment of it,
The experience.
the experiments, everything that goes on with it.
The winner and the loser feeling and all that, kind of like the football.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you guys winners or losers this year?
Sadly, we were losers, but we were losers Division II playoffs, first round. We were 9-1 regular season, so we had a great season for my final season, but it had ended in a bad way.
A very great man in my life told me once, he says, no matter what happens, you're always a winner if you decide to go forward with that information and use it to make yourself better. So you're never a loser unless you decide to be.
Right.
And don't be a loser ever, and don't admit to losing. Always grab the winning aspect of what you did. I won because I know how not to lose. That's a win.
Right.
I appreciate you. Yes, sir.
I'd also agree with Brandon on having econ class because I'm learning that currently and learning the difference between grocery prices from, I'd say, like 5 years ago to now and how drastic of a difference it is. But like what Joseph and Brandon have been saying, with my school, our school lets us vote with anything. With sports, they let us vote team captains. With presidents, they let us vote class president, ASB vice president, ASB president. And I would say with the people who I have voted, because I make sure I can vote whenever I can at school, they have been able to keep up with their promises because they've always promised to let us be able to choose what we want for our dance as like the theme, and we've always been able to. So I'd say.
So you've felt some success of that.
Yes, sir.
Joseph, you are 18?
Yes, sir.
Have you registered to vote yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's one of the things I'd like to see you. Your name again? Brandon and? Jaden and Brandon. I'm going to put a little pressure on your brother to show you how to register to vote, because in a short time it'll be your turn to register to vote. Okay, very good. We want to make that happen. All right, now we want to talk about some choices here. The choices, excuse me, Attorney Martin, as you've listened to these young men, is there any question that comes up before I start dropping these bombs on them?
No, I think what I want to emphasize is the young man that said he started learning about current events in the Donald Trump administration as a senior, but that he should have been given that opportunity to learn that information earlier. I could not agree more. We need to make sure that civics and current events, world events, are taught to kids from day one in school. Obviously, it has to be developmentally appropriate, but this notion that you shouldn't learn about our government until 18 or until you're a senior is ridiculous, because it creates a whole cadre of non-voters. If you start learning the importance of your vote in elementary school, junior high, by the time you get to high school, there will be no doubt that you will be a very engaged person in our civics, and that you will be wanting to vote as much as we know young people want to get their driver's license. That's the kind of excitement and momentum we need to build, like 16-year-olds who can't wait to drive.
Is that true? Is that true
the
anymore?
Same way.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're right, because we do have all three of you guys agree that it's in 16. You definitely want to get your license and drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Very good. So we're on it. We're on it. Very good, Attorney Martin. One vote that we all make, even when we are not in a voting booth, if we've got any money, whether that money came from our parents as a gift, or we've earned it doing chores, or we earned it out here picking cotton, where you spend that money, and if you've earned it or had somebody put it in your pocket, once you spend it, you have actually voted. Once you decide where you're going to spend it, you actually voted. In terms of the election campaign, we don't have to really wait for the constant barrage of information that comes out when we're running for president. We see that when it's time to buy shoes. We see that when it's time to buy cars. We see that when it's time to buy food. They market you. They make you make a decision or give you an opportunity to make a decision. Sometimes you buy things because other people are buying them. Have you ever found yourself getting involved in the trend? Each of you got a chance to say yes or no on that.
Yes, sir. No, most definitely.
Trending and doing things that get along with you and your friends, and trying to get along like that is important. Have you ever, when we say boycott, what does that mean to you, Joseph?
I say boycotting means to not allow something to be, or not allowing something to grow in your community, or something for, I would say like Crocs. If you were to boycott Crocs, you wouldn't buy them. Okay. You would strip them of their power over people wanting to get something new.
Okay.
The way I would say boycotting to me is standing up for something you believe in, and that something might be like how Joseph said with Crocs. It'd be like Starbucks. If Starbucks is being overpriced or something about it just isn't right anymore, you would stop getting that thing and make them realize that their power over you isn't, like, it's not that big.
Jaden?
I'd say, to me, I feel like boycotting is standing up for something that you don't believe in and that you don't want to start trending and that you don't want people to be influenced by.
Okay, do you see, what do you see being built from a boycott? I mean, what is being constructed in your community? Pride, unity? Are we helping develop those people who are really helping you by stopping those people that are hurting you or that you perceive to be hurting you?
I would say it shows unity of the community by seeing everyone come together with this one thing they all believe in should be a different way, and it being something better. It seems like we could all still have one good opinion as like a community and not just all have negative opinions about the same thing.
Attorney Ariva Martin, one of the things that I have over a period of time developed in my thought patterns is that yes, it's critical to let your adversary, oppressor, know that you will not continue to support their position, but that does not necessarily build up your ability to be mobile and powerful and move forward. I've suggested that one of the things that we want to do is, as they used to say on the streets, like who like me. There are some businesses that support us. There are some businesses that reflect the morality that we want to promote. As we discuss a resistance, I think we also, if we are going to say we should stand up against something, we should have a place where we can go and sit down to support something. Selective spending. Could you discuss selective spending to some extent? Because I remember one of the first aspects of a so-called boycott was, if you can't work there, don't spend your money there. So can we expand on that thought a little bit?
Well, that's what selective spending is. That's what boycotting is. The boycotts that are being called for now are from forth to stop spending your money at companies like Target that have walked away from their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And selective spending, like you said, is finding those companies that you value. So whether it's small businesses, whether it's Black-owned businesses, Latino-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, to support those businesses with your spending in these big multinational corporations that have billions of dollars in sales that control so much of our economy, is to say to them, until you align your diversity, equity, and inclusion policies with us, we are not going to support you. We're not going to spend money with you. We're going to boycott your company. We're not going to buy your products. We're not going to buy your services. To
put all of this in perspective, in 1965, there was a civil rights law written. Affirmative action was brought into play. We've had to change the wording on that because, as usual, when you try to correct things, the reason that they weren't correct in the first place is because there's people who support the imbalance, the lack of equity, the lack of inclusion, the lack of diversity. So we have been through a period where it appeared that civil rights were on the move, or the right to be included was being increased, and things were moving along. And all of a sudden, we now have this major attack on diversity, inclusion, and equity. And I think the call for these boycotts is based on certain stores saying, okay, you're right, I think maybe we don't need to be concerned about hiring Black folks and brown folks and Asian folks and folks who have different gender ideas about who they can love and stuff like that. I think we should just go on and respect that super white man attitude, because I think that's exactly what the anti-diversity move is about, a super white man be in charge attitude. Am I being too strong with that description?
No, that's exactly the description. We are fighting against white supremacy, and the powers that be desire to make whiteness at the top of the hierarchical structure. From our perspective, Wallace has always been there, but they want to ingrain that in our Constitution. They want to ingrain that in federal policies in ways that we haven't seen since before the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. So anyone who thinks that this is not about rolling back our rights and freedoms that we had during that time period, they are mistaken. And people need to be very clear-eyed about what this agenda is. It's in Project 2025. If your students haven't had a chance to do so, they should Google Project 2025. They should read it, and they should become educated about the agenda that the Trump administration has.
Have you young men been exposed to the Project 2025 information about that?
I would say I have been exposed to it, but not by my school. I've been exposed to it by social media like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that.
Has it been brought to you as something to admire or something to be weary of?
I would say it was something to be weary of.
Okay. And in that light, what, as young men, facing the same thing that my father faced and his father, white supremacy, and we're not trying to go out and get guns and shoot everybody, but we have to have some kind of commitment that describes a love for self and a love for people who look like us, and an understanding of why the poison pill of white supremacy settled so easily and quickly in the minds of our fellow citizens. There's no justification for it, but there seems to be a reason that grows in their heart as soon as they throw a little water on it, as soon as they see a strong man, Mr. Trump. And I say strong, I say slick, I say cunning, I say extremely crafty, a person who is manipulative, the perfect type of cult leader. And I think that he's been able to capture people and bring them under his shadow, under his umbrella, because that seed was already in them, and he's been able to nurture that seed. All of us have preferences, prejudices, but that doesn't necessarily turn us into people who are willing to deny other people their right. How do you feel, or how can you deal with the idea of power when it's your turn to be in charge? I'm not sure how to say this, but how do you feel about dealing with people who've broken the law? Do you believe that even an illegal law or inconvenient law should be followed?
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Elaborate on that a little bit. Okay. You have been told that you cannot come out and protest the fact that we have just fired the chief of staff, or the general, a black general that is in charge of all of the military, because he's too diverse. I just don't. I want to be comfortable with someone that's my military general, my right hand, my person over the military, so that when I tell them to do something, they do what I tell them to do. Do you know enough about civics to challenge that thought? Do you think that the President of the United States should have control over what the judges and judiciary has to say? Do you think that the President of the United States should be able to set laws that Congress has no power to deal with? I guess we're in civics right now. Go on.
I believe that the president should not have all that power. I don't. That's why we have 3 branches that have control over each other, or aren't allowed to control each other in that way. It's a spread of power, so not one man can control everything. And if he brings everything down, it's just going to be him by himself. He's not going to bring the entire community down with him. That's what the spread of power is for. Yes.
You believe in the checks and balances.
Wallace, can I just get that?
Oh, please.
Branches of government. That was incredible. I am so glad to hear you say that. So many people don't know that we have 3 co-equal branches of government. We don't have a king, and the executive branch, i.e. the president's branch, is no more powerful than the judicial branch or our congressional branch.
They have the ability to check each other. Actually, they have the responsibility to check each other. To find all of that power sitting in one place means that someone is acquiescing or giving up their responsibility. That takes us back around to the vote. That's why it's important for you, Joseph, to register, and for you, gentlemen, to pressure him and follow him and figure out what you've got to do when it's your turn to register to vote. Our votes with our money is very critical. Our vote at the polling place is very critical. What do you see going on with the adults around you that either supports that concept or is kind of disappointing to you in that you don't have enough support in that direction? The direction of how to spend my money, where to spend my money, the direction of how things are going on at school. Are we protesting enough? That's a protest, coming to the school board meetings, coming to the school to talk to the teachers, being able to stand up in a class and suggest that we should be getting more information about economics or getting more information about some subject that we're not getting. Do you have that freedom in your classroom? Do you feel that responsibility in your classroom to stand up and speak to those items?
Honestly, I would say I do and I don't, because with that freedom, our teachers can't really, they can only say so much about politics and civics to where the point where you start seeing their opinion in it. So I would say at my school, you can like have your own opinions about politics, but when you start like talking to the teachers about it, they start bringing up their own problems with it, and it just gets mixed up. So I would say, yeah, no.
Yes, you have access, but you don't have access.
Yeah.
I would also say I do and don't, because it's always been a big issue from what I've heard from middle school all the way up to high school, probably elementary school too, that teachers they're not able to speak their mind because of school rules for them. As teachers, they can't tell us their side of how they feel about different political stories and stuff like that. So it seems a little hard to learn about those things in school without it being biased in some ways.
Joseph?
I believe that we do have the power, but we don't have the knowledge to actually assert that power.
I see how you feel about extra learning opportunities because you're involved in the Botillion Knights of the Botillion program. Is there anything that you could suggest that would help complement what school is doing? How do you feel about Saturday classes or evening classes or extra classes from business people like me? Would you attend those? Do you have a mentor? Are you looking forward to have someone in the field that you are interested in be available to talk to you about following a certain route?
I would say with my school, I'm very grateful that they do have opportunities like Saturday school, because a lot of things can happen for someone to not be able to get to school, like say like their car breaking down or something happening, and Saturday school is able to cover or to help take away their absences or tardies just for whatever reason they're missing school for. So I'll say yeah.
I think some ways that it could be helped is, like Jaden said, Saturday classes, but I think it should be a club where people are able to speak their political opinions without it being a big problem. Where I think it should be learned with teachers, maybe some teachers teach it, or it'll be a little get-together type of event, or some people go out to brunch, something like that, where they get to just talk about what they believe in and those different type of political outlooks.
I think that when it comes to Saturday classes or extra learning activities, the ability to go to school after hours, I believe it all works. It's all something that we need to do to learn extra things, but I also think people need to open up with themselves, because you're only going to be able to learn things that people want you to learn if you're getting your information from other people.
Very good. Ariva, how do you? I'm gonna acknowledge a sponsor, and then I'd like for you to kind of close the guys up and give them your last little piece of advice. We don't have this opportunity often, and gentlemen, you just gave yourself some great advice. The fact that you would like to see more input for you at this age, and from people who are older and in a greater position of view, you have people behind you, younger than you, who look up to you, who are able to benefit from your experience. So I suggest that maybe as we talk about a Saturday school, we may try to do something that would allow you to be the teachers, the instructors, the leaders of a group like that. And I would like to thank, special thanks to San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, California State Assemblyman James Ramos, California State Assemblyman Dr. Corey Jackson for their support of Empire Talks Back during this Black History period. And they have sponsored today's program. Dr. Martin, Attorney, well, you had to be a doctor first. Attorney Martin, you've got the ear of these young men and the people who are in a level of responsibility and care for them. What have we said?
First of all, I just want to congratulate all of them. They seem like just amazing young leaders and the kind of leaders that we need leading us in the future, both whether it's in politics or government, sports and entertainment, healthcare professions. We are going to need strong, independent thinkers, individuals who can think for themselves, individuals who are not afraid to take bold stances, and folks who are not afraid to stand up for what's right. And it sounds like, from what I've been listening to for the last hour, all three of your guests this morning meet all of those criteria that I've laid out. And I just want to encourage them to keep their eye on the prize, keep working towards their education, keep having a spirit for giving back to their community. And we know that activism is contagious, so I would love for them to spread their momentum, their excitement, their spirit of activism to their colleagues, to their fellow students, to their neighbors, to friends. And just know that you never know who you are inspiring. So how you act in the world, how you post on social media, how you communicate, you never know who's watching and who's going to be inspired by your story.
Dr. Attorney Reva Martin, our civil rights goddess, I thank you for your time. I appreciate you being with us this morning. We do want to acknowledge that the Botillion is an activity. There is a Botillion Ball. The date of that Botillion Ball is?
It's March 29th, sir.
March 29th. That gives me time to talk a little bit more about you guys next week. You gentlemen are each trying to get people to support you in terms you're selling advertising in your Botillion.
Yes, sir. For Sir Night of 2025.
Yeah, you would all like to be Sir Night. I'd like to see all three of you have a tie and all three of you get something that would indicate that you're all three wonderful young men and you're all Sir Knights.
Yes, sir.
There is something you can do to support these young men. You can send some money. I'd like for one of you to tell people where that money can go, how they can send it, and don't worry about promoting yourself. Promote your group right now. All right? So tell us how to do that. Joseph.
Send by email. We have a Zelle at... Let me get this information.
Is there a phone number? Is there a phone number they can call and be squared away on who collect the money? Okay, give us that phone number. Any one of you know what that phone number is, or you can come over and give it to them for it. Give up. All right. Okay, now we've got somebody out there who may be really feeling bad because they've attacked civil rights and they want to support you guys. So what is that phone number? Tell you what, if you can't use their number, use mine. 909-915-7922. That's 909-915-7922. Tell Wallace that you want to support the Botillion, and I will send you to the right spot.
The email address for the Socialites Botillion is ad_4 BEAU night@yahoo.com.
Give me a call. That's going to be easy to remember. 909-915-7922. I appreciate the socialites. I appreciate you young men. I am excited by the fact that I feel much more secure knowing that we're handing the world to young men who are excited to take the handles. God bless you for what you're doing, and be very steadfast, stubborn, aggressive, and kind as you go forward doing what you can do for the rest of us. We appreciate you.
Yes,
this is Empire Talks
Back. We appreciate
Back.
you for having us.
I'm Wallace Allen. We'll see you guys next week under two circumstances. One, if the good Lord's willing. Two, if the creek don't rise. God bless you. Thank you for your time. We will anticipate your participation. God bless you. All right, go on and take us out, Derek.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. The White House says the war in Ukraine could end as soon as this week. Speaking to reporters Saturday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, quote, "The president is very confident we can get it done this week," and added that Trump's team is focused on negotiations. Her comments come just ahead of this week's meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House. Pope Francis remains in critical condition after a peaceful night as he's being treated for double pneumonia at a hospital in Rome. Crowds have been gathering to show their support both in St. Peter's Square and outside the hospital.
He echoes what Christ told us 2,000 years ago, so we need him.
A Sunday morning update from the Vatican said the 88-year-old pontiff was alert and had rested after receiving blood transfusions following a respiratory crisis. Elon Musk says all federal workers must justify their work or they'll be fired. In a social media post Saturday, Musk said federal employees will receive an email requesting information about what they worked on in the last 7 days, and any failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. The move comes after President Trump said he'd like to see Musk be more aggressive in his efforts to slash the federal workforce. A police officer is dead after a shooting at a Pennsylvania hospital Saturday morning. Scott Carr has the latest.
The man who held hospital staff at gunpoint before shooting and killing Officer Andrew Duarte had visited the hospital just days before the shooting. Police in York County say 49-year-old Diogenes Archangel Ortiz was holding hostages in the ICU Saturday, threatening to kill one in the hallway when several officers opened fire. Duarte and the gunman were killed. 5 others were wounded. Governor Josh Shapiro commended Officer Duarte for his lifetime of service.
Let it not be lost on anyone the act of extraordinary bravery.
You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.
Portions of the show may be previously recorded. Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today is Tell Del Tuesday, and in the Tell Del Tuesday segment, I try to bring you a diverse group of individuals that have joined up to Lifestyles and taken advantage of the education. And I wanted to be diverse as all the way from someone just in the very beginning stages all the way to somebody who's done, very, very large deals or multiple large deals, so that you have a variety of people. And the idea is to parallel yourself with somebody along the way. So today I have John Courtney, and he's out of Raymore, Missouri, which is close to Kansas City, Missouri. And John's got an interesting story because John is doing well with us, but before he came to us, he had all kinds of negative experiences with real estate. And what's interesting is that he was still interested in doing real estate after he ran into these problems with real estate, which were nothing correlated to investments. They were just stuff that he had purchased for himself. And so we were going to be interested to hear his transformation from having bad luck with real estate to having good luck that he's having now. So welcome to the show, John. And what name do you like to be called? John Courtney, or JC? I see that you got them all down here in your bio.
Yeah, I kind of coined the term JC from KC. It kind of helps a lot of people remember who I am. But
oh, I see. Okay.
Through my life, I've had a lot of Johns in my life, so it was always Courtney. But, the JC from KC seems to stick pretty good.
Great. Well, let's start your story out here. Right now, we'll just give them an upside. You have how many single-family rentals right now?
Currently have one, closing on 2 this Friday, possibly early next week.
Okay, great. So that's why you said 1.5. I'm trying to figure out what 1.5 rent house.
1.5. That's where you get the half, because you're not quite to 2, but you're just about there. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So this one here we're going to talk about, it's a good one. Let's just, for audience sake, take you back and rehash some of the painful experiences you've had in real estate previous. Because people ask me all the time, my friend, my brother, my cousin, my sister, my attorney, everybody I talk to has lost real estate, has had bad experiences in real estate. And I think if you got listeners out there that have heard those stories or had those stories and then see that there is